This is one of the 26 parks that are owned by Auckland Council in the old Auckland Regional Authority area. So this land here is settled by a family from Ireland in the 1880s. And what the council have done is adapted it as a farm park. So we've got areas of the old indigenous forest where it's been revegetated. We've also got animals, sheep. We've got the sheep at the moment here grazing here. And also what they've done is they have revegetated the gully to reduce the amount of silt going into Kowal Bay there. I'm one of a team, there's 4 of us here, and there's others that do the headlands there, and another guy and his wife do around the beachfront and that type of thing, so there's 4 of us. One thing that is quite crucial to the whole development is working as a team, and I fit into that team by just doing what I love doing, which is predator control. I would trap probably about 30 acres, probably 25 to 30 acres. When they cleared the land, the first thing they tended to take out were the trees that were useful, in the European definition of useful. And they took out the kauri. So basically 95% of the kauri forest are destroyed, and there's kauri being taken out of here. So we've got Pahutakawa, we've got Puriri, we've also got Tarairi, and a number of other canopy trees that fortunately have been left. So that what's happened now is that with the council coming in, we have fenced off the old parts of the indigenous forest. There is a ready seed source on the cliff face. We've got kiriru coming from, there's a couple of open sanctuaries. We're also now breeding kiriru here, and they have taken the seed source, used the trees to basically revegetate the old indigenous forest. I personally would rather trap, if I could trap every rat, mouse and possum without the need for poisoning, I would do that. But the reality is, to control predator numbers to a very low number, you need to have a whole variety of the ways in which you kill them. One of the beauties of working in a team is that the council have a very good management policy. They also direct us when what we call pulse a variety of baits through. But then in spring and autumn, which are key times to predation on the forest, which is when the rats tend to come in, you get a burst of rats, and the beginning of winter, which is end of autumn where you get seed drops, and you also get the hedgehogs coming in to hibernate and that type of thing. So we use a second generation there, which is called Bredicum. If you want to catch an opossum, you've got to think like an opossum. And that set me off just working out how predators or vermin operate and using that understanding as to how they operate to trap them. So we've got that basic concept in terms of vermin. And the other concept we've got is this: not the rats we kill or the weasels we kill or stoats we kill that are the problem, it's the one that we don't. So let's define the ones we don't kill as trap-shy predators. And to me there are 2 types of trap-shy predators. There are either those that have had, let's call it a near-death experience. Okay, so let's say they've been into a trap and the trap has malfunctioned, it's just caught the rat by the tail, the rat has had to chew the tail off to escape. So that rat's going to remember the style of the trap and the smell that attracted them in. And the next thing that we have to worry about, doing the bait properly. They will get a lethal dose first up or second up. In other words, they won't get half a dose, get a headache, and then think, oh, if I go to that bait again, I'll get another headache, I don't want to go to that bait. So this here is a freshly caught ship rat. And it is in this area here, it's the most common rat in our bush. And I know it's a ship rat because the tail is longer than the body. And in addition to that, the ears fold over the eyes, or just about. It's a young ship rat. To explain the damage that introduced species are doing, we need to go back 80 million years ago. Now 80 million years ago, Gondwana land broke up. And what became New Zealand Aotearoa New Zealand had unique vegetation on it. So all the vegetation in New Zealand, in Aotearoa New Zealand, relates to being predated on by birds. You can virtually touch any New Zealand vegetation species and there are no prickles on it whatsoever, because it's never had to defend itself from soft-mouth herbivores. Now, gorse and blackberry grew up in a different part of the planet where there were goats and deer and that type of thing. So this type of vegetation is used to defending itself from being eaten by sheep. It's got prickles on. And if you touch blackberry, it's got prickles on and prickles on the backs of the leaves there. So when we introduce species to vegetation that had no defence to it whatsoever, it was nirvana for them. So the consequences is this, is that all New Zealand vegetation is basically defenceless from being eaten or anything like that. Before we started trapping this park, they put a contract trapper in once every 6 months or so, and these trees were struggling to survive. Oh, brilliant. Another ship rat, mate. Another one bites the dust. So all these little trees around here can breathe a sigh of release. They're not going to be eaten, and any seed that falls will not be eaten by that rat. So that's a fantastic feeling. By killing the rodents, we have allowed every seed that's dropped to germinate. And it took me a while to get on top of the vermin, but once I got on top of them, the regrowth is just fantastic. Just dispose of them. Some people say that when you do volunteer work or when you teach, it's a question of giving and taking. But that's not what I feel in the forest here. I don't believe in the words giving and taking. This is just who I am. Who I am is a trapper that loves the forest. I get energy from being in the forest, and I look at these 30 acres here and I look at how they're revegetating, how they're growing, and I think that there may well be schools that come here in the future and come and have a look and say, oh, is that what the forests of Aotearoa New Zealand used to look like? You can be part of a team. There's always something you can do to assist in protecting what we've got left.